Last our topic for today is basic accounting concepts. Let's start the discussion with a quick background in accounting. Because of globalization, the users of the financial statements, such as investors, shareholders, creditors, and suppliers, rely on the financial statements for their decision making, not only here locally in the Philippines, but also internationally. That's why it's very crucial to have uniform accounting standards and practices around the world. Uniform accounting standards and practices around the world, iyan yung goal of the International Accounting Standards Board or IASB. Okay? Ang dating tawag sa IASB was IASC, International Accounting Standards Council. Okay? So basically, IASB is an independent, private sector that develops and approves the International Financial Reporting Standards or IFRS. So pag sinabi natin na standards, ibig sabihin nun, IFRS. Alright? Ang dating tawag sa IFRS was IAS, International Accounting Standards. Ganito nangyari dyan, class. So before, si IASC, ni-rename siya or ni-replace siya ni IASB noong 2001. Right? So previously, si IASC, ang ini-issue niya was IAS. I think hanggang IAS 41, yung agriculture, yung biological assets. And ever since ni-rename siya or ni-replace siya ni IASB, ang ini-issue na ngayon ni IASB is the IFRS. Got it? Okay, now, the IFRS or the standards have been adopted by 167 jurisdictions or countries globally. So maraming countries na yung nag-adapt ng IFRS. Pero hindi lahat ng countries. For example, yung US, may sarili yan. US, meron siya tinatawag na US GAAP. So yung US GAAP, marami siyang similarities lang din with IFRS, pero may mga differences yan. For example, under IFRS, for inventory, ang allowed lang is FIFO and weighted average. For US GAAP naman, ang allowed is FIFO, LIFO, and weighted average. Obviously, walang LIFO under IFRS. Okay? Now, since the goal is to have uniform accounting standards and practices around the world, i-implement dapat yung IFRS sa different countries, right? Including the Philippines. So locally, meron tayong 3 regulatory bodies na involved sa implementation in the Philippines. Number 1, yung primary in charge is FSRSC, Financial and Sustainability Reporting Standards Council. Ang tawag dati sa FSRSC was FRSC, Financial Reporting Standards Council. Ang dating tawag sa FRSC was ASC, Accounting Standards Council. So nilalagay ko yung mga dating pangalan nila para hindi ka malito. Okay? Pag nabasa mo yung ASC, yung ASC, FRSC din yan. FSRSC din yan. Nababago lang yung name. Alright? So actually yung ASC, nireplace siya noong 2004. Okay? ASC, nireplace siya ng FRSC noong 2004. Si FRSC, nireplace or nirename siya to FSRSC noong 2022. Alright? So currently, FSRSC na yung primary in charge. Okay? So si FSRSC, siya yung nag-i-implement or FSRSC promulgates the accounting standards or the PFRS in the Philippines. So yung IFRS, international yan. Pag in-implement na sa certain country, for example, Philippines, nagiging Philippine na yan. Okay? From international financial reporting standards, making Philippine financial reporting standards. So ano difference ng content ng IFRS and PFRS? Wala. Magkamukha lang yan. Alright? So same lang sila. Copy-paste lang yan. Alright? So international, ginawa lang natin Philippine. Okay, now. And actually, yung FRSC was created under RA 9298, Republic Act 9298, or the Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004. Right? And then again, 2004, pero noong 2022, ni-replace yung FRSC, actually ni-rename to FSRSC. Okay? So that's our primary local regulatory body na in charge of implementation in the Philippines. I-assist siya ng dalawa pang regulatory bodies. Second is PIC, or the Philippine Interpretations Committee. PIC assists FSRSC. So saan siya ina-assist? Sa implementation, interpretation, clarification of the standards. Okay? Kaya siya tinawag na Philippine Interpretations Committee. For example, guys, may bagong standards na i-implement sa Philippines. And then may mga ibang provisions na medyo nakakalito. Okay? So para ma-implement, ma-interpret na maayos or ma-clarify, ang bahala dyan si Philippine Interpretations Committee. Right? And lastly, kasama din dyan si BOA or Board of Accountancy. So si BOA naman basically supervises and regulates the accountancy practice in the Philippines. Okay? So specifically, may dalawa yan. Number 1 is administering and the preparation of the CPA licensure exam. What else? So si BOA din bahala mag-oversee ng practice of accountancy sa field of private practice, public practice, government, and academe. Alright? So yun yung role of the Board of Accountancy. So again, internationally, meron tayong IASB. Locally, meron tayong tatlo. FSRSC, PIC, and BOA, Board of Accountancy. Alright? So yun yung quick background in accounting now. Since yung topic natin is about basic accounting, kailangan i-discuss natin yung accounting cycle. Okay? So basically, yung accounting cycle, iyan yung basic accounting. So ano ibig sabihin ng accounting cycle? Iyan yung procedures or processes from recording of transactions up to the preparation of financial statements. Meron tayong 10 steps. Sinulat ko na. Isa-isahin natin yan under the accounting cycle. And then ito naman yung mga details niya para mas maintindihan natin. Okay? Let's go to step number 1. Step number 1 sa accounting cycle is identifying and analyzing business transactions. Paano tayo mag-analyze, mag-identify? Well, kailangan natin i-check yung mga documents. Okay? Check natin yung mga documents. For example, official receipt, ano pa, invoice, mga vouchers. Titingnan natin kung meron ba talaga nangyaring accounting transaction. Kapag may accounting transaction, proceed ka sa step 2. Step 2 is journalizing. Okay? Saan ka mag-journalize? Sa journals. Kaya dyan ang galing class yung term na journal entry. Okay? Mag-journal entry tayo. And then, sa journal entry or journalizing, in the Philippines, ang ini-implement natin is the double entry. Actually, internationally, double entry system. Okay? Ano yung double entry? Meron tayong debit, let's call it DR. Meron tayong credit. So for every accounting transaction, pag sabing double entry system, isang debit, isang credit. Alright? Yan yung journals. Ano ba sa itsura ng journal? O, tingin tayo dito. Ito yung journal. Right? So, journal, meron tayong basically 4 columns. Meron tayong date, account title and description, we have debit, we have credit. So, for every accounting transaction, i-journalize natin yan. So, yung date, for example, March 1, 2025. Let's say nagbenta tayo, may credit sales. Debit AR, credit sales. Yun yung account title. AR and sales. Tawag natin dyan account titles. Yung description naman or explanation, ito yun, to record credit sales. Meron tayong debit, let's assume 100,000, and meron tayong credit, 100,000. Okay? So, ito yung itsura ng journal. Ulitin ko, pag meron tayong accounting transaction, step 2 yun. Step 2 natin, i-journalize natin siya sa journal. Alright? Yun siya, yung itsura ng journal. Let's go to step 3. Posting. Pag sinabing posting naman, class, ita-transfer natin from journal to ledger. Okay? So, for example, January 1 to December 31, nirecord natin lahat ng transaction sa journal. Okay? Ngayon, yung ledger, ang purpose niya, i-classify natin yung mga same na nature. Okay? For example, lahat ng sales, isipin nyo yung journal, isipin nyo yung ledger, para lang siyang T-account. Para T-account lang yan. Meron kang T-account or ledger for cash, AR, inventory, PPE, revenues, expenses, lahat ng items in the balance sheet and income statement. Meron tayong ledger dyan. Okay? For example, yung sales. Okay? Ito yung ledger ng sales. No March 1, nagbenta tayo 100,000. Ito siya. Let's say April 15, nagbenta ka ng 200,000. Okay, August 31, nagbenta ka 300,000. October 1, nagbenta ka 400,000. Balance mo ng sales, December 31, 1 million. Isipin mo lang pag sinabing ledger, para lang siyang T-account. Alright? So, yun yung posting. From journal, ika-classify natin siya lahat. In this case, yung sales sa ledger. Alright? So, ganun siya. Now, FYI na lang, ang ibang tawag sa journal is books of original entry. Kasi dyan tayo yung first entry natin. Ledger naman, books of final entry. Yun yung ibang tawag dyan. Alright? So, FYI na lang. Sige. Now, let's go to the 4th step. Preparing the unadjusted trial balance. Okay? So, take note talaga, unadjusted. Pag sinabing unadjusted, ibig sabihin yung class, before adjusting entries. Hindi pa tayo nag-adjusting entries. Okay? Answer example ng trial balance. So, dito ka mag-focus. So, imagine, natapos na natin, meron tayong ledger na lahat ng line items. Okay? Cash, AR, inventory, may mga ledger tayo yan. Isa-summarize natin ngayon yan. Okay? Isa-summarize natin siya sa trial balance. Okay? So, ano ba yan sa trial balance, sir? Well, lahat ng line items, cash, AR, inventory, and so on and so forth, ng balance sheet and income statement, and then ilalagay natin kung debit or credit. Alright? And then may total debits, and may total credits. Actually, class, yung trial balance yan, ginagamit din yan to detect errors. Nakaka-detect din ng errors yan. Bakit, sir? Kasi dapat yung debits, total, equal yan sa credits. Kaya siya tinawag na trial balance. Dapat balance yan. Okay? Sige. Now, what else? So, meron tayong unadjusted trial balance. Next natin is, pwede tayong mag-prepare ng adjusting entries. Alam natin, adjusting entries, piniprepare yan every December 31. Okay? Pero before tayo mag-discuss ng adjusting entries, okay? Focus ka muna dito. Okay? Tuturo ko lang mabilis yung initial recognition ng expense and ng income. Meron kasi tayong 2 allowed na methods. Okay? Focus ka muna dito sa expense. Specifically, prepayment. Okay? So, for example, class, bumili tayo ng supplies. Okay? Let's say 10,000 per month, binili natin worth 12 months. 10,000 times 12, that's 120,000. Tama ba? Now, pag expense or prepayment, meron tayong 2 allowed na methods. Asset method and expense method. So, ano difference yan? Pag asset method, yung initial recognition or initial entry natin, asset. In this case, prepaid supplies. So, ulitin ko, bumili tayo ng supplies, 10,000 per month, binili natin in advance for 12 months. So, 120,000. Debit prepaid supplies, credit cash. Pag asset method, chinarge mo sa prepaid supplies. Pag expense method, debit supplies, expense, credit cash yan. Ulitin ko, initial recognition, kapag may prepayment tayo, dalawa yung allowed na methods. Asset method, ibig sabihin lang yan, initial entry, dinebit mo sa asset. Pag expense method, initial entry, dinebit mo sa expense, supplies, expense. Okay? Dito mo tayo sa asset method. Let's say, class, ang na-consume natin ng supplies worth 3 months lang. So, how much yun? 3 times 10,000, that's 30,000 lang. 30,000 ang dapat yung supplies expense natin. Okay? So, ganito gagawin ko dyan. So, dapat, meron akong debit, adjusting entry ko. Okay? December 31. Adjusting entry pinag-uusapan natin. Debit supplies expense, credit, prepaid supplies. How much? 30,000 yan. Okay, so let's say again, na 3 months lang yung na-consume natin. So kung i-account natin yung prepaid supplies, tama ba may 120,000 tayong debit, January 1, or sorry, October 1. And then October 1 kasi, October, November, December, so 3 months lang yun. And then, na-consume natin is 3 months lang, so meron tayong credit prepaid supplies na 30,000. Tama ba, class? Ang mangyayari dyan, yung prepaid supplies natin na ending balance is 90,000. Tama? So ang supplies expense natin, 30,000. Prepaid supplies natin, 90,000 under asset method. Punta naman tayo sa expense method. So ulitin ko, 120,000, chinarge natin sa expense under expense method. Pero 3 months lang pala dapat. So bawasan natin ng 90,000 yan. Debit prepaid supplies, credit supplies expense, 90,000. So pag tini-account mo, class, yung prepaid supplies natin, ito lang siya, tama? 90,000. Alright? So ang mangyayari, under expense method, yung expense natin, 120 minus 90, that is 30,000. Tama? Which is equal under asset method, 30,000 din. Yung prepaid supplies natin under expense method is 90,000, which is equal din sa asset method. In short, pinakita ko lang. Whether asset method or expense method, magkamukha lang yung balance na makuha mo sa December 31. Okay? It's just that, ang pagkakaiba lang yan, yung initial entry mo. Pag asset method, debit sa asset. Pag expense method, debit sa expense. Alright? Sige, next. Income. Ito expense, tama? Sa income naman, class, specifically deferral or kapag nag-advance sa atin yung customer, pwedeng kang 2 allowed methods. Number 1, liability method, income method. Okay? Pag liability method, Debit cash, let's say class 10,000 per month. Okay? In advance sa atin ni customer 12 months. So 10,000 times 12, 120,000. Pag liability method, kinekredit mo sa unearned. Let's say rent. Unearned rent income 120,000. And let's say for example, ang na-earn lang talaga natin is 9 months. Okay, 9 months. So ang gagawin ko diyan, debit unearned rent income, credit rent income 90,000. So pag tini-account natin yung unearned rent income, meron tayong original 120, magde-debit tayo ng 90. Therefore, yung unearned rent income natin is 30,000 yung balance. So under liability method, yung rent income natin is 90,000, unearned rent income natin is 30,000. Tignan natin kapag income method naman. Pag income method, yung na-receive natin na advance from customer, diretso income. Debit cash, credit rent income, 120,000. Again, let's say na 9 months lang talaga yung na-earn natin. Hindi bawasan mo yan. Hindi 120 dapat yung rent income. Bawasan natin yan ng 30,000. Okay? So, debit rent income, credit unearned rent income, 30,000. Pag nag-T-account tayo, 30,000 yung unearned rent income natin. So, meron kang rent income na 120 minus 30, you have 90,000. So, ibig sabihin class, under income method, yung income mo is 90. Under liability method, yung income mo is also 90. Under income method, yung liability natin is, or yung unearned natin is 30,000. Under liability method, yung unearned natin is also 30,000. So regardless of the method na gagamitin mo sa initial recognition of income or expense, magkakamukha lang yung ending balances yan. Yun lang yung gusto ko i-prove. Got it? Okay. Now, balik tayo sa adjusting entries. Dito tayo. Ano ba yung mga ina-adjust natin? Well, pinaka-common sa atin as accrual. Okay, example, debit interest expense, credit interest payable. Ano pa? Debit salaries expense, credit salaries payable. Debit interest receivable, credit interest income. Yung mga ganun. Deferral, ayun, yung parang kanina natin. Debit unearned revenue, credit revenue. Parang yung example natin kanina. Prepayments, ayan. Debit insurance expense or supplies expense, credit prepaid insurance or prepaid supplies, mga ganyan. Others, depreciation expense, credit accumulated depreciation. Ito yung mga examples of adjusting entries. Okay? That's step number 5. After adjusting entries, pwede na tayong gumawa, mag-prepare ng adjusted trial balance. Uy, trial balance na naman. Okay, ito nandun yun. Okay? It's just that, na-incorporate na natin yung adjusting entries doon sa trial balance. Okay? So yun lang, yun ibig sabihin yan. Again, kapag adjusted trial balance, ginagamit din natin siya pan-detect ng errors. Kasi dapat equal yung total ng debits and credits for the trial balance. Next, pwede tayo mag-prepare ng financial statements. Okay? Yung mga financial statements natin, we have statement of financial position, statement of comprehensive income, statement of cash flow, statement of changes in equity, and notes to financial statements. Okay? So yun yung step number 7. Step number 8 is preparing closing entries. Ano ba yung mga kino-close natin? Well, ang closing entries natin, basically yung mga income statement accounts. Ang ibang tawag ng class is temporary or nominal accounts. Ito yung mga kino-close natin. Basically, lahat ng income statement items. So, ibig sabihin ng kino-close, nagiging zero yan every end of the year, December 31. So, dito tayo. Ito yung closing entries. Lahat ng credit, i-debit natin. So, yung sales, di ba, credit yan? I-debit mo yan. Lahat ng debit, i-credit natin. Cost of goods sold, debit talaga yan, pero kung i-credit natin. Expenses, debit talaga yan, i-credit natin. Kasi kino-close natin eh. Zero out natin. Yun ibig sabihin ng closing. Isi-zero na natin siya. Alright? So, debit sales, credit cost of goods sold, credit OPEX. Balancing figure mo dyan is the income summary. Basically, yung income summary, yun yung net income mo. And then, next entry natin, debit income summary, i-close mo siya to retained earnings. Okay? So, again, yung closing entry is applicable lang yung class sa temporary or nominal accounts, or basically, ito yung income statement accounts. Hindi yan applicable, lagi ko, NA. Hindi yan applicable sa permanent, so real, okay, permanent or real accounts. Pag sabing permanent or real accounts, ito naman yung mga balance sheet items. Mga balance sheet items, hindi natin kino-close yan. Ang kino-close lang natin, temporary or nominal or the income statement items. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, guys, pagdating ng January 1, zero na yung income statement items mo. Okay? Back from the start ka ulit. Ganun siya. Next, preparing post-closing trial balance. So, pag sabing post-closing, after closing entries. Okay? So, trial balance pa rin. Ito pa rin siya. It's just that, na-reflect natin yung closing entries. So, ibig sabihin, sa post-closing trial balance, wala ka ng income statement items yan. So, layo dito, wala ng income statement items sa post-closing trial balance. Take note, na tatlo yung trial balance natin. An adjusted trial balance, adjusted trial balance, and post-closing trial balance. Okay? Last step. Actually, yung step number 10 na yan, yung preparing reversing entries, optional lang yan. Hindi yan required. Okay? Optional lang siya, pang-simplify lang siya ng recording. Papakita ko later kung bakit siya nagpapasimplify. Alright? So again, preparing reversing entries is just optional. Now, ang pwede mo lang i-reverse, take note of this, no? Take note of this. Tatlo. Lahat ng accruals, pwede mo i-reverse yan. What else? Lahat ng prepayments, okay, under expense method. Ano yung expense method? Ito. And lahat ng deferrals, under income method. So, ibig sabihin, class, yung asset method, hindi mo pwedeng i-reverse yan. Liability method, hindi mo pwedeng i-reverse yan. Napakita ko later kung bakit hindi. Ulitin ko, class. Reversing entries, optional yan. Ang goal lang yan, ang purpose yan is to simplify the entry next year. Okay? Ano yung pwedeng i-reverse? Lahat ng accruals. Lahat ng prepayments pero under expense method. Ito. Lahat ng deferrals pero under income method lang. Okay? Asset method and liability method, hindi ka nagre-reversing entries yan. So, pwede mo bang illustrate yung reversing entries? So, punta tayo dito. Reversing entries. Let's say, nag-issue tayo ng notes payable on September 30, 2025. Okay? So, September, October, November, December. 3 months tayo mag-a-accrue. Alright? So, December 31, ganito yung entry natin dyan. December 31, meron tayong, so, compute natin, 1 million times 12%, that's 120,000 times 3 over 12, that is 30,000. Tama? Debit interest expense, credit interest payable, mag-accrue tayo for 3 months, na-compute natin, 30,000. Alright? Now, let's say, ang mangyayari dyan, this is January 1. Okay? January 1, ginagawa yung reversing entries. Like dito, January 1. Pag reverse, babalik rin mo lang. So, debit interest payable, credit interest expense, 30,000. Ni-reverse mo yung in-adjust mo. Parang gano'n. Bakit mo na-reverse? Accrual yan. Pwede mo i-reverse yan. Papakita ko sa inyo, class, pagdating ng September 30, 2026, tama, let's say every year nagbabayad ng interest. September 30, 2026, yung entry natin with reversing entry and without reversing entry, papakita ko siya. Pag with reversing entry, ibig sabihin, meron tayong entry ng January 1. By ang entry natin, pag binayad natin yung interest expense, debit interest expense, credit cash, 120,000. Okay, buong 1 year. Bakit siya nagaganyan? So, nangyari, class, December 31, debit interest expense, credit interest payable, worth 3 months, tama? January 1, nag-debit ka ng interest payable. Ibig sabihin, cancel out ka na. Wala ka ng interest payable. Yung interest expense mo, meron kang credit na 30, tapos nag-debit ka na 120. Tama ba, class? Kung may credit ka na 30, may debit ka na 120, ibig sabihin, 90,000 yung interest expense mo, 2026. Tama lang. 30,000 no 2025 kasi 3 months. 2026, 90,000 kasi 9 months. So ito yung sinasabi kong masisimplify yung entry. Kasi ang entry mo lang, debit interest expense, credit cash for 1 year. Right? Pero syempre, may ginawa ka ng January 1, may credit ka na 30,000 interest expense, yung net niyan is 90,000. So tama lang. What if, sir, hindi natin ginawa yung reversing entry? Ano yung entry natin on September 30? Debit interest payable, bayaran mo muna yan, 30,000. Debit interest expense, 90,000. Credit cash, 120,000. Okay? So yun yung entry mo. Kapag walang reversing entry, ito yung entry mo. Debit interest payable, debit interest expense, credit cash. Pero whether meron kang reversing entry or walang reversing entry, interest expense mo is both 90,000. Okay, so ulitin ko, class, kaya yung step number 10 natin na reversing entry is optional yan. Pwedeng hindi gawin yan. Walang problema dyan. Okay? Para lang mas simplify. Ano ibig sabihin ng simplify? Ito lang entry mo. Interest expense cash, 120,000. Okay, so that's the accounting cycle. Let's apply the concepts by answering our handouts. We have 43 items. Let's go to question number 1. The basic purpose of accounting is, let's read the choices. A, to measure periodic income of the economic entity. B, to provide quantitative information, financial information about a business enterprise that is useful in making rational economic decisions. Actually, yun yung answer natin. For number 1, it's boy. Tingnan natin yung ibang choices. Letter C, to provide information that the creditors of an economic entity can use in deciding whether to make additional loans to the entity. Letter D, to provide information that the managers of an economic entity need to control. Very specific yung C and D. Nakalagay creditors and managers, and we know marami tayong users of the financial statements. So best answer here for number 1 is boy. Number 2, financial accounting can be broadly defined as the area of accounting that prepares, tingnan natin yung choices, A, general purpose financial statements to be used by parties internal to the business, and internal and external. Kapag internal lang, management accounting yan, hindi yan financial accounting. B, financial statements to be used by investors only, hindi, again, internal plus external. Letter C, general purpose financial statements to be used by parties both internal and external. Letter C for number 2. Okay? So again, pagka sinabing general purpose, ibig sabihin, pwede siyang gamitin ng lahat ng users, whether internal or external. Letter D, financial statements to be used primarily by management. No? Let's go to number 3. The basic components of this financial statements do not include statement of financial position, kasama yan, statement of comprehensive income, statement of cash flows, walang statement of cost of goods sold. Okay? Number 3, dog. Okay? In particular, step number 7 yan, yung preparation of the financial statements. Number 4, what is the objective of financial statements? Let's see the given. A, to prepare comparable, relevant, reliable, and understandable information to investors and creditors. Masyado specific. Investors and creditors. B, to prepare financial statements in accordance with all applicable standards and interpretations. Pwede. Letter C, to prepare statement of financial position, income statement, statement of cash flow, statement of change in equity. Pwede. Pero yung best answer is dog. To provide information about the financial position, performance, changes in financial position of an entity that is useful to a wide range of users in making economic decisions. Wide range of users, or tawag natin dyan, general purpose financial statements, applicable yan or can be used by internal and external users. Number 4, dog yung best answer dyan. Number 5, it is an independent private sector body with the objective of achieving uniformity in the accounting principles which are used by business enterprises for financial reporting around the world. Ang best answer talaga is IASB, International Accounting Standards Board. Wala sa choices, o sagot natin IASC, yung dating tawag sa kanya, International Accounting Standards Committee. Letter A for number 5. Again, yung IASB, ang ini-issue niya is IFRS. Si IASC, ang ini-issue niya dati was IAS. Let's go to number 6. The highest accounting standard setting authority in the Philippines is FSRSC, Financial and Sustainability Reporting Standards Council. Wala sa choices, nakalagay FRSC. Yun yung dating tawag sa kanya. Financial Reporting Standards Council. Dog for number 6. It is a body authorized by law to promulgate rules and regulations affecting the practice of accountancy. Accountancy practice in the Philippines. Board of Accountancy. BOA, yung number 7 na yan, letter C. So again, pag saan mo practice of accountancy, dalawa yan. Yung preparation and administering the CPA licensure exam and yung private, public, government, and academic practice. Okay? So si BOA bahala dyan. Let's go to number 8. They encompass the conventions, rules, and procedures necessary to define what the accepted accounting principles are. Yan yung GAAP or the IFRS. Pag sabi mo IFRS, ito din yung GAAP. Right? Generally accepted accounting principles. Letter A for number 8. Let's go to number 9. The GAAP in the Philippines are known as PFRS. Well, ang tawag natin sa PFRS, saan yung PFRS? Ito, syempre, PAS yung dating tawag dyan. Kung meron kang IFRS, PFRS yan, yun. Yung IAS ang dating tawag dyan, PAS. Okay, that's why dog yung sagot mo dyan for number 9. Both PAS and PFRS. Number 10. Philippine Financial Reporting Standards or PFRS include all of the following except Letter A, PFRS equivalent to IFRS issued by ASB, yes. Boy, Philippine Accounting Standard or PAS equivalent to IAS issued by ASC. Philippine Interpretations equivalent to IFRIC and SIC interpretations developed by PIC. By the way, class, si PIC, again, siya yung bahala sa implementation, interpretation, clarification, yung mga standards na ini-issue dyan, tawag na doon, SIC, SIC, and IFRIC. Okay, FYI, yung mga tawag dyan. Dog yung mali dyan. Framework for the preparation and presentation of financial statements. Meron tayong separate topic for the conceptual framework, and malalaman natin dyan, class, sa conceptual framework na guidance lang yun. Okay? Mas meron pa rin authority si IFRS kaysa sa revised conceptual framework. Tandaan yun. So, hindi considered as standards yung conceptual framework. Dog yung sagot dyan. Number 11, the purpose of IAS and IFRS is to, punta sa C. Again, uniform accounting standards and practices. So, letter C yan. Promote uniform accounting standards among countries around the world. Okay? So, kahit anong country, kahit anong company, ang goal is dapat kamukha yung accounting treatment sa lahat ng mga transactions para maging comparable lahat ng FS kahit sa ang country ka pumunta. Okay? Number 12, the accounting equation. Well, accounting equation, alam natin assets equal to liabilities plus equity. Okay? So, punta ka dun sa letter boy. Shows the claims on the entity's assets represented by creditors and owners. So, yung assets ng company, ng entity, claim siya by the creditors, yung liabilities, and by the owners or yung equity. Okay? So, boy for number 12. Let's go to number 13. The double entry system means that every transaction, again, yun pag journalize tayo, double entry, meaning meron tayong debit, meron tayong credit. Punta ka dun sa letter C. Affects at least 2 general ledger accounts and is recorded by an equal amount of debits and credits. Number 13, letter C. Number 14, which among the rules on debit and credit below is not correct? Alin daw yung mali? A, the normal balance of any account appears on the side for recording increases. Yes. Normal balance either debit or credit kung saan mag-increase. Boy, assets and expenses are debited to increase. Liabilities, revenues, and equity are credited to increase. Alam natin, tama yan. Letter C, the debit is always on the left side of the accounting double entry. That's also correct. Dog yung mali. Debit means increase and credit means decrease. Mali yan. Kasi debit pwede rin decrease yan. Nag-debit ka ng liability, decrease sa liability yan. Okay? Yung credit naman pwede rin increase yan. Mag-credit ka ng liability, increase sa liability yan. Okay? So, mali yung dog. Number 14, dog yan. Number 15, debits. Alam natin yan. Very basic. Boy tayo. Increases assets. Increase assets and expenses and decrease liabilities, revenues, and equity. Let's go to number 16. X purchased a new register system for his grocery store, paying 1,000 in cash and issuing a 6,000 note payable. As a result, excess balance sheet would reflect. Journalize natin. Debit, equipment, credit cash. How much yung cash? 1,000. Credit notes payable, 6,000. Therefore, yung debit mo sa equipment, 7,000. So, nasa siya? Punta sa A. An increase in assets, ito. And increase in liabilities, notes payable. Right? Letter A yung sagot natin dyan. Sige, for number 16. Let's go to 17. Which among the following is the last step in the accounting cycle? Okay, so, meron tayong 10 steps. Yung last step dyan, class, is preparing reversing entries. Okay, kaya sagot mo na dyan, letter A. Kaya lang, take note na optional yan. Okay, so technically, kapag wala sa choices yung reversing entries, ang isasagot mo dyan, preparing post-closing trial balance. Kasi yung post-closing trial balance, required yan. Yung reversing entries, optional yan. So kung wala sa choices, yung A, ang isasagot mo dyan, dog. Take note ha, preparation of the post-closing trial balance. So ulitin ko, kapag ang tanong is last step, tingnan mo muna kung nandiyan yung reversing entries. Pag nandiyan, yun, sagot mo. Pag wala, since optional yun, dog ang isasagot mo dyan. Pero A tayo for number 17. Number 18, which is the correct sequence for recording transactions and preparing FS? Well, punta ka muna sa letter A. Journal muna, and then ledger. Okay, journal, ledger, trial balance, and then saka tayo mag-prepare ng financial statements. Letter A for number 18. Number 19, journalizing is performed in what phase of the accounting process? Well, kapag i-journalize tayo, nagre-record tayo. Nagre-record tayo sa journal entry. Recording yung sagot dyan for number 19. Number 20, general ledger serves what phase of the accounting process? Yung ledger or general ledger? Actually, classifying yung sagot dyan. Letter C for number 20. Kasi kinaklasify natin or ginugroup natin lahat ng similar items. For example, sales. I-group mo lahat ng cash, ng AR, ng sales, ng expenses, and so on and so forth. Yung summarizing dyan, class, yung dog, yung summarizing more of trial balance and financial statements yan. So, ulitin ko, kapag journalizing, recording yan. Okay? Recording yung phase niyan. Kapag ledger, okay? Classifying yan. So, ano yung summarizing? Summarizing, trial balance kasi sinasummarize natin lahat na nasa ledger sa trial balance and also yung preparation of financial statements considered as summarizing din yan. Kasi nakasummarize na lahat ng items dun sa financial statements. Okay? For number 20, letter C. 21. Which statement about the trial balance is incorrect? Alin daw yung mali dito? A. A trial balance determines the equality between the total debits and credits. Yes. Dapat equal yung debit, equal yung credit. B. A trial balance lists all open accounts in the general ledger as of time period. That's also correct. C. A trial balance proves that all amounts have been posted to the correct amounts. Mali yun. For example, class, yung debit AR credit sales natin, ang nirecord mo is instead of 100,000, 10,000. Equal pa rin yan. Kahit mali yung nirecord mo. Okay, kaya mali yung C. Nakalagay dyan, a trial balance proves that all amounts have been posted to the correct amounts. Hindi necessary yan. Equal pa rin yan. Letter C for number 21. Okay, letter D, a trial balance is required in the accounting process, of course. Tama yan. Number 22. X has completed the posting process for the month of June and has prepared the trial balance, in which the debits total 11,000 and credits total 11,100. Okay, so hindi yung balance. 11,000 daw to. Ito 11,100. Lagyan natin. 11,000 and 11,100. Which of the following errors would be the most likely candidate in causing the trial balance to not to be balanced by 100 pesos? Tingnan natin yung choices. A. A 100 peso debit was posted as a 100 peso credit. So pag ganun, instead na dinebit mo, na-credit mo yung 100. Ibig sabihin, ang mangyayari, si credit mas mataas siya ng 200 than the debit. Okay, so mali na yung A. Kasi 100 lang yung difference. Pag yung A, 200 mas mataas yung credit than the debit. B. A 100 peso debit was posted as a 100 peso credit and a 100 peso credit was posted as a 100 peso debit. Well, in that case, mag-i-equal yan. Equal yung debits and equal yung credits. Okay, so mali rin yan. Yung sagot talaga is letter C. A 50 peso debit was posted as a 50 peso credit. So dapat dinebit mo na 50 pesos, na credit mo siya. O, ibig sabihin, yung credit mo mas mataas ang 100 pesos than your debit. Letter C for number 22. Dog, the purchase of supplies on account was never posted. Pag hindi ka nag-post, hindi mo ni-record, okay, equal pa rin yan. Tama, equal pa rin yan. Number 23, the purpose of adjusting entries. Punta ka dun sa letter C. Apply the realization principle and the matching principle to transactions affecting 2 or more accounting periods. So yung keywords dito yung 2 or more accounting periods. For example, class, nag-record tayo ng accrual. Okay? Interest expense, interest payable. Affected yung current year, may nag-accrual ng current year, and next year, meron ka pa rin interest expense. Okay? For example, depreciation. Di-depreciate ka ngayong year, mag-depreciate ka ulit next year. Kaya sabi dyan, apply the realization principle and the matching principle to transactions affecting 2 or more accounting periods. This year, next year, and moving forward. Okay? So ganun siya. Number 23, letter C. Number 24, adjusting entries are needed because an entity, tingnan natin yung choices, actually best answer is A, uses the accrual basis of accounting. Okay? Letter A for number 24. Because kapag cash basis ka, well, yung cash basis hindi naman accepted yan talaga under IFRS, pero kapag cash basis ka, wala kang mga accruals. Alright? Kaya ang tamang sagot dito is letter A, uses the accrual basis of accounting. Alright, number 25, accruals are, punta ka dun sa BOY, adjusting entries where revenue or expense recognition precedes cash flow. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng precedes? Ibig sabihin, nauuna yung revenues or expense before yung cash. So, parang ito, debit interest expense, credit interest payable. Nag-record mo tayo ng expense bago tayo magbayad ng cash, okay? Ang bayaran mo pang cash, next year pa. Tama? So, ibig sabihin, nauna yung expense, nag-precede siya, then the cash flow. That's why boy yung sagot natin for number 25. 26, which of the following list resembles a typical adjusting entry? Debit asset, credit revenue, debit expense, credit liability, okay? Debit revenue, credit liability. Actually, class, kung mapapansin mo, lahat ng adjusting entries, merong isang income statement item and merong isang balance sheet item. Ganyan siya. So, interest expense, interest payable, income statement, balance sheet. Unearned revenue, balance sheet, income statement. Income statement, prepaid insurance is balance sheet. Depreciation expense, income statement, balance sheet. Tandaan mo, class, kapag adjusting entry, merong at least one income statement and one balance sheet item. Take note of that. Kaya ang mali dito, dog. Debit asset, credit liability. Walang income statement yan. Dog for number 26. 27. Which of the following is false regarding adjusting entries? A. Adjusting entries involve accruals or deferrals. Yes. B. Cash is neither debited nor credited as a result of adjusting. Yes, wala. Kapag adjusting entries, walang cash involved dyan. Right? Letter C. Each adjusting entry affects one revenue and one expense account. Mali na. Dapat one income statement and one balance sheet account. C for number 27. Letter D. Each adjusting entry affects one statement of financial position and one income statement. That's correct. Number 28. An accrued expense is an expense. Ano example ng accrued expense? Ito. Debit interest expense, credit interest payable. Debit salaries expense, credit salaries payable. A. Incurred but not paid. Hindi ko bayad. Okay, incurred but not paid. For number 28, letter A, sagot natin dyan. Number 29, an unearned revenue can best be described as an amount. Ano ba yung unearned revenue? Punta ka dito. Nag-advance natin si customer. Letter boy, collected, na-collect na natin, but and not currently matched with expense. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Hindi pa tayo nakapag-render ng service dun sa customer natin. Wala pang revenue. Ibig sabihin, wala pa tayo na-incurred in expense. Okay? Collected, na-receive natin from the customer, and not currently matched with expense. Kailan ka ba magkakaroon ng expense? Pag nag-render ka ng service kay customer. Okay? Hindi pa, kaya unearned ka pa. Boy for number 29. 30. The failure to properly record an adjusting entry to accrue an expense. Let's say hindi ka daw nag-debit interest expense, credit interest payable. Ano magiging effect niyan? Punta ka sa dog. Understatement of expense and understatement of liability. Dog for number 30. Obviously, wala kang expense, wala kang liability. 31. The failure to properly record an adjusting entry to accrue a revenue. Debit interest receivable. Credit interest income. Pag hindi na tayo nakapag-entry niyan, ano yung mangyayari? Punta ka sa C. Understatement of revenue. Okay? And understatement of asset. Interest receivable is an asset. Interest income is a revenue. Okay, that's for number 31. Konti na lang. 32. The premium on a 3-year insurance policy expiring on December 31, 2023 was paid in total on January 1. The original payment was initially debited to a prepaid asset account. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Nag-asset method siya. Okay? The appropriate journal entry had been recorded. Ibig sabihin, na-record niya to. Debit supplies expense, credit prepaid supplies. In this case yata, yes, prepaid. Tama. So, nag-asset method daw siya. Na-record daw niya yung appropriate adjusting entry. The balance in the prepaid asset, parang T-account natin, should be, boy yung sagot mo dyan for number 32. The same as it would have been if the original payment had been debited initially to an expense account. Ibig sabihin lang yung class, ang ginawa ng company, nag-asset method siya. Sabi niya sa boy, kapag daw nag-expense method, same pa rin yung balance ng prepaid mo. Sa illustration natin, parehong 90,000. Ulitin ko, whether asset or expense method, ending balances natin ng expense and ng prepaid asset natin equal yan. Okay? For number 32, boy yung sagot dyan. 33, a document prepared to prove the equality of debits and credits after all adjustments. Adjusted trial balance. Letter C. Okay? Again, ang goal of trial balance is to show yung equality ng debits and credits. After adjustments daw, adjusted trial balance yan. Number 34, the closing entries. Punta ka dun, tingnan natin yung choices. Is done each time a transaction takes place. Hindi. Closing entries natin, class, every December 31 yan. Tama? Para January 1, 0 na yan. So, mali yung nakalagay each time transaction. Boy posts all closing entries to the appropriate general ledger account. Tama yan. Actually, ibig sabihin yan, ito yun. Debit income summary, credit retained earnings. Okay? So, yun yung ibig sabihin yan. Lahat i-close natin. Income statement muna to income summary to retained earnings. So, sagot natin, class, boy for number 34. Sige. And letter C, transfer all income statement to the related statement of financial position. Letter B yung best answer dyan. 35. After all the accounts have been closed, punta ka sa dog. The revenue, expense, and income summary have zero balances. Again, lahat ng temporary or nominal accounts natin or the income statement accounts, zero na yan. Pagdating sa January 1, zero ka na ulit. Okay? Start from scratch ka ulit. Number 36. Accumulated depreciation is an example of, punta ka sa dog. Real, pag sinabi kong real, balance sheet account yan. Pag sinabing contra, ibig sabihin minus yan. Tama? Accumulated depreciation, contra equity yan. Contra PPE account yan, di ba? So, real because balance sheet and contra because negative yan. Okay? Minus. Number 37, premium in advance payable. Premium is balance sheet, therefore real siya. Pero ina-add mo yan. So punta ka sa boy, real and adjunct. Okay, so yung opposite ng contra is adjunct. Pag adjunct, plus naman. Boy for number 37. 38, which is an example of nominal and contra. Pag nominal, income statement. Pag contra, naka-minus. Boy, punta ka sa boy. Sales discount is an income statement and binaminus mo sa sales yan. 39, reversing entries. A, impact the income statement only, no? Are not allowed, no? Impact the statement of financial position, income statement. Yes, totoo yan. Because ang nire-reverse natin, yung mga accruals. Tama? And prepayments and deferrals. Alam natin, pag accruals, prepayments and deferrals, lahat yan may income statement item and may balance sheet item. Okay? So that's why letter C yung sagot mo dyan for 39. Letter D, tingnan natin. Change amounts reported in the financial statements of the preceding period. Hindi. Kasi whether nag-reverse ka or hindi ka nag-reverse, same lang yung impact niyan. Sa journal entry na nagkakaiba, pero yung net effect niya magkamukha lang. Whether meron kang reversing or wala kang reversing entries. Number 40. Okay, malapit na. Which of the following statements regarding reversing entries is incorrect? All accruals should be reversed. Yes, tama yan. B, adjusting entries for depreciation and budgets are never reversed. Yes, depreciation. Wala naman dito yan sa prepayments and deferrals and accruals. Deferrals entered in the statement of financial position accounts make reversing entries unnecessary. Ito FYI na lang. Ulitin ko, kapag prepayments dapat expense method. Kapag deferrals, income method. So ito lang yung nire-reverse natin, ha. So hindi ko na ipapakita class kasi para hindi na kayo malito. Tandaan nyo na lang na ang nire-reverse, accruals, expense method and income method, hindi natin nire-reverse yung asset method and liability method. Pakitandaan na lang yun. Hindi ko na i-illustrate para hindi na kayo masyadong overwhelm sa discussion natin. Okay, so punta tayo sa C. Alin daw yung mali? Deferrals entered into statement of financial position or yung asset method and liability method make reversing entries unnecessary. Yes, again, hindi kailangan i-reverse pag asset method, liability method. Dog, reversing entries change amounts reported in the statement of financial position for the Hindi nag-change amount yan. Same lang, whether may reversing or walang reversing. Dog for number 40. Number 41. Okay, so 3 items to go. An entity initially records prepayments in real accounts. Ibig sabihin, real accounts. So, ibig sabihin, asset method and liability method yung ginagamit niya. And makes reversing entries when appropriate. Kapag appropriate lang. O, alam natin, kapag asset and liability method, hindi ka magre-reverse yan. Pag appropriate lang daw, tsaka kasi siya nagre-reversing entry. Which of the following entries should be reversed? A, the entry to record depreciation expense. Hindi, pag depreciation, hindi mo nare-reverse yan. B, the entry to record the portion of services fees received in advance that is earned by year-end. Okay, tingin ka dito sa December 31. Alright? So again, syempre, kapag ikaw yung naka-receive, deferral. Pag ikaw yung nagbayad, prepayment. Nakalagay dyan, real account or asset method yung nagamit niya. Tingnan natin. Sa boy dyan, alin daw yung i-reverse sa boy? The entry to record the portion of services received in advance that is earned by year-end. Actually, ito yun. Okay? Alin yung na-earn natin? Kaya ka nagre-rent, credit na rent income. Debit unearned, rent income, credit rent income. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng boy. Mali yan. Bakit, sir? Kasi kapag liability method, hindi mo nire-reverse. Okay? So sabi dyan, alin daw yung i-reverse natin? Mali yung boy. Punta sa C. The entry to receive supplies used. Pag supplies used, ibig sabihin, syempre, nag-debit ka supplies expense. So punta ka dito. Debit supplies expense, credit, prepaid supplies. Asset method dyan. Okay, hindi ka mag-reverse kapag asset method. Okay? Mali rin yung C. Dog yung sagot dyan. The entry to record service fees earned by year-end but not billed. O accrual yan. Okay? So accrual siya. So again, pag accrual, nire-reverse natin yan. Dog for number 41. Number 42, an entity initially records prepayments in nominal accounts. So, ibig sabihin, as expense method and income method naman, yung 42. Which of the following may be reversed? A, the entry to record inventory, hindi yan reverse. B, the entry to record the portion of rental received in advance that is unearned. Actually, tama yan. So, ito siya. Okay? December 31, i-record natin yung unearned. Ibig sabihin, income method yan. Pag income method, pwede natin i-reverse yan. Ulitin ko, tatandaan nyo na lang, hindi ko na i-illustrate. Ang pwede mong i-reverse, accruals, expense method, and income method. Tandaan nyo na lang ha. So, boy for number 42. Tingnan natin yung ibang choices. Letter C. The entry to record the portion of supplies previous acquired that is consumed at year-end. Actually, ito yun. Debit supplies expense, credit prepaid supplies. Actually, hindi yan kasi nga asset method yan. Okay, dapat that is not consumed para ito. Okay, para expense method. Para tumama yung C, dapat that is not consumed. Debit, prepaid supplies, credit supplies, expense. Letter D, the entry to record the portion of interest paid in advance that expired. Hindi pa expired. Hindi pa dapat expired para maging accrual. Okay? Boy yung best answer natin. Number 43, which of the following cannot be subject to reversing entries? Accrual, pwede. Income, yes. Accrual of expense, pwede. Yes. Deferral of expense under the asset method? Hindi. Pag asset method and liability method, wag mong i-reverse. Okay? Ang pwede mong i-reverse, letter D, deferral of income under the income method. Pag expense method and income method, pwede mong i-reverse yan. That's why final answer for number 43 is letter C. Okay, that concludes our discussion on basic accounting concepts.